the navigator of the Hyperion versus the navigator of the Astral Express. Absolutely phenomenal fight. It's gonna be booing a lot. Alright my friends, so finally we have the full video about the collaboration between Honkai Impact 3rd and Honkai Star Rail, and I am going to explain to you what they are saying in it. I am not going to watch the entire video because I already watched it, and there is no point in reacting to a video like this because it's just full of information. It doesn't really have much of stuff to react to. So I am going to explain to you what it has, and I would love to hear your opinion about it in the comments section below. Now before we start, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell beside it to stay notified with everything new about Honkai Impact 3rd and Honkai Star Rail, and without any further ado, let's just get started. So as you can see, we start first immediately with Shiai and RG as usual, where they are talking about the collab story. Now Shiai has a very brilliant idea. He says, why don't we make the collab story about wealth and him returning to home? Somehow Himiko managed to find basically Earth in the Honkai Star Rail story, and she basically told Wealth that it's time for him to go back home. He can now go back home. Now RG here makes a very interesting point. If this is going to be the collab story, then what is going to be the main story of Honkai Star Rail? Honkai Star Rail, as you know, started with Wealth coming to the Honkai Star Rail story. So the entire story is built around Wealth returning home. They are trying to return him home. However, they can't find Earth. So if during the collab they are going to find Earth, what are they going to do during the main story of Honkai Star Rail? That is not going to work. That is completely a bad idea, and it would destroy the story of Honkai Star Rail, and therefore Shiai agrees. Now RG comes up with a very brilliant idea as well. Why not make Sparkle give them the wrong coordinates and they get stuck somewhere on the snow? As you can see here, my god, they even found actually Void Archive, which by the way confirms that Void Archive is the second person that Wealth landed with, and also confirms that Void Archive is in Honkai Star Rail. He just didn't appear yet, and he is not Locha, by the way. So this is actually, there are so many confirmations about the story of Honkai Star Rail, it's absolutely crazy. So as you can see, he gets stuck with Void Archive, who is dead by now, and this is basically the story that RG is talking about. So we are going to have Sparkle giving them the wrong coordinates, and Wealth gets stuck in a snowy place like this. Now this basically made Shiai a little bit mad because of the fact that he mentioned Sparkle. Why is he mentioning Sparkle? So he goes on to a different idea. He moves on to the story of having the Astral Express basically facing the Saint Freya team. So here we are going to have characters from Honkai Star Rail facing characters from Saint Freya and from Honkai Impact 3rd basically, and these matches are just from heaven. Look at this, 1 versus 1 battle. Oh my god, this is gonna be crazy. We have Tona versus basically Raccoon. Then the next fight, we have Harsher of Reason Bronya versus Harsher of Reason Wealth. So the two Harsher of Reasons fighting each other. The thing that is pretty funny is that this is basically Honkai Impact 3rd versus Honkai Impact 3rd, but they are just acting as if it is Honkai Impact 3rd versus Honkai Star Rail. But in reality, it's just Honkai Impact 3rd versus Honkai Impact 3rd, which is just hilarious. Either way, the next fight is just the most gorgeous one. As you can see, we have basically the navigator of the Hyperion versus the navigator of the Astral Express, absolutely phenomenal fight. It's gonna be booing booing a lot. Oh my god. Then we have a dragon versus a dragon. This is actually a very smart idea. This is definitely a very smart idea. Like seriously, having Mei versus basically Dan Hong in Bibitor Lone, this is absolutely phenomenal. Both of them has dragons and both of them are Chinese, so they fit very well together to fight for the strongest dragon. That is just absolutely phenomenal. Then oh my god, this is ridiculous. Me against Fuhua? Are you serious? She already know who she is facing and it's just completely insane. Fuhua would beat her with one finger. She doesn't even need to move like. So they are going to try to give basically March 7th a little bit of advantage in order to be able to do so. So our boy here, RG, is going to give some ideas to make the fight logical, because until now all of the other fights were somewhat logical, even though I don't think that Kiana versus the Trailblazer is actually logical. Kiana would literally eradicate him with one finger. She doesn't even need to move one finger, she can just boom, eradicate him. But either way, the one that is the most insane one is the fight between Fuhua and March 7th. So they are going to give her some crazy advantages, and our boy RG here comes up with the idea that maybe we should basically make her face a hungry or starving Fuhua with one hand only, and she is also just a copy of Sparkle. Basically Sparkle has created this copy of Fuhua and it's nothing else. So this brought back Sparkle again. And Xiaoji is like, why are you bringing Sparkle again? This is just not what he wants. He doesn't want Sparkle in the story. And RG is still continuing to bring Sparkle every single time. By the way, even like this, Fuhua would still win. Well, actually, since it is just a copy of Sparkle, it's not the real Fuhua, maybe she might not win, but if it is the real Fuhua, and she is using only one hand, and she is starving to death, she is still going to beat March 7th. It's just that big of a gap. It's just that big of a gap. It's a gap that is as big as 50,000 years. That's how big the gap is. Either way, Xiaoji is angry once again, and he moves on to the next story instead. He decided to make the story about real life. As you can see, they are basically, all of them are businessmen, and they are working in a company. However, the company is doing a little bit badly, and the IPC is going to kick one of the workers here. They say that the one that is working the worst is going to be kicked. So obviously it's not going to be Mobius. Obviously it's not going to be Sakura. Obviously it's going to be one of these. It's either going to be Alicia or it's going to be Kevin, and therefore they are really mad and sad at the same time. They are going to lose their job. Either way, this story looks a little bit, I don't know how it would be. I mean, they have some really cool ideas, like having basically Kevin and Blade here. This is just absolutely ridiculous. Like, seriously, having these two specifically beside each other is just ridiculous. But either way, this is, in my opinion, the story that makes the least sense for me, or at least it's not really that hype for me. I like the idea of having them being businessmen and women and being basically able to live a life that is normal instead of fighting and stuff like that. But come on, come on. That is not the story that I want to see. Either way, they actually move on to the next story. So the next story is going to be a death scene where Auto Apocalypse is basically dead, and we are going to to have different investigators that are going to basically investigate the case, and they will see if they can find the criminal or not. And as you can see, we have Black Swan, we have basically our girl here, Song Chu, then we have Seilei, we have also basically we have also Rita, and last but not least we have Luocha, and they are saying, shockingly, he looks just like the deceased. Like, if you had any suspicion about Luocha being basically Otto, this is pretty much killing that suspicion. They are exactly the same character. Luocha is the Otto of Honkai Star Rail, which means that Luocha is never up for a good thing. Never. So don't trust him that he is trying to kill Yao Shi. He might be trying to do something completely else. And the last one is going to be basically armchair detective Misha. This is absolutely ridiculous. So here we have basically our boy RG telling him that this isn't really a story that is hype and that is worthy of a collab. So Xiaoji says that it is a dark comedy and stuff like that, but then once again our boy RG is going to bring Sparkle yet again. Not Sparkle. If the murderer can change appearances, this plot won't work out. So as you can see, RG tried to bring up Sparkle again, but Xiaoji isn't going to allow him to do so. Now it is getting suspicious. Why is RG trying to bring Sparkle every single time in every single plot that we have? Well, that is for a very specific reason, and we are going to talk about it later on. However, the last story that they are talking about is basically a crime scene, or before last actually. The before last one is a crime scene where we have basically Noah, we have Foxy, and we have basically Bailu. I really don't know why they gave that name instead of the names that are known for the Honkai Impact third players, but whatever, I guess. This is Noah, this is Foxy, and this is basically Bailu, and they are investigating a crime scene. This is basically another story, and then we have the last story, which is where we have Jinguan as a police officer and Jingwei as a security. And by the way, Jingwei is just basically a buffed Fuhua, buffed personality Fuhua, so you know what I mean. And in this story we have even Senti. Oh my god, and she is trolling basically Su Shang, which is just absolutely phenomenal. I love this. This is just ridiculous. Then we have basically here Teresa and Qing Chui. Oh my god, Qing Chui is looking so crazy. And so we have the place where we are going to have basically the story, and that place surprisingly explodes. Now we go back to basically to the office, and they are discussing. I really don't understand why do they like basically melons that much, but whatever. I mean, they are delicious, but that much, man. Either way, they come back to the store, to the office, and RG tries one last time to convince Xiaoji to have Sparkle in the story, but regardless of how much he tries, Xiaoji is never convinced. He doesn't want to have Sparkle in the story. So he leaves and basically says that a collab story doesn't happen so often, so we have to work on it very well, and he leaves to give the basically instructions to the workers so that they would start working on the collab story. And here we get one of the craziest scenes ever. As you can see, another power outage. Now we know why the power outage is happening as well. Someone came in, and our boy RG is trying to talk to them. They kill him with a gun. You know what that means, right? You know very well what that means. And the voice as well. And it turns out that this story has been in work from 2018. Before Honkai Star Rail was even a thing. Before Honkai Star Rail was even a thing, Sparkle was already working on becoming a part of the Honkai Impact 3rd story. This is just ridiculous, man. Oh my god. Here he finally finishes the draft and he is going to basically send it, but before he managed to send it, bam! And she changes basically the draft. As you saw, she cancelled it and she said no, Sparkle is going to appear in the Honkai Star Rail story, and she is going to appear on the 28th of November in version 7.9. Now, as you can see, this is in November. And the reason is that the global server is basically a whole month away from the, or even maybe a month and a little bit more from the CN server, and therefore we are going to get Sparkle in November. However, the CN server is going to get Sparkle actually in October. So it's sad. It's one of the problems that I talked about in my previous video, where I talk about the 3 main problems with Honkai Impact 3rd. This is definitely one of them. Instead of us getting Sparkle at the same time, we are going to have to wait basically a whole month in order to be able to get Sparkle. So it is what it is. Either way, as you can see, she is coming on the 28th of November, so if you want to join the Honkai Impact 3rd story and be basically part of it to summon for Sparkle, make sure to do so as fast as possible so that you can grind as many crystals as possible so that you can basically have a higher chance at pulling her. Either way, with that being said, that was everything for today. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell beside it to stay notified with everything new about Honkai Impact 3rd and Honkai Star Rail. And with that being said, see you as always in the next video.